Good morning, you bad, beautiful bitches. You are tuning into your new favorite morning show, a show where we're going to unpack guests like Seamus here who lived in a land with, some might say, a lot of limitations and now are prospering in a land with no limits. This is the No Limit Show. We are blessed with a guest today, Seamus, owner of Downright Merch. Welcome to the show, my friend.
My man, thanks for having me.
Are you kidding? A lot to unpack here, okay? Talk to us early days. We see you now flying around with all these, crazy artists. We'll put a little B-roll here of your whole shop and whatnot. Talk to us. What were you doing before the merch?
Well, before I was doing Downright Merch, I was in bands, and I was playing drums in bands for, touring for like almost 10 years.
Jesus.
Really?
Yeah, so I played in a bunch of different bands, a bunch of different styles of music.
Punk rock? Is that the main?
Punk rock, yep.
How'd you guess?
Water Gun Kelly over here. This is great.
A lot of like metal stuff, like it was cool though, and I really loved doing it. And I kind of always had some involvement on the merch side of it with all my bands. Either being the one that was coordinating getting the shirts printed before the tour, or just like my hands in the merch game.
Yep.
So touring in the band, doing that for quite some time, and to be honest, I kind of got sick of touring.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I still play in bands. I still play drums. I play all the time. But, as far as the touring as a career, I kind of just...
You were over it.
Yeah, I was a little over it,
What was like the last straw in touring where you were like, I can't live this life anymore?
Well, I did, I think 2017, 2018, I was on the road for 8-9 months out of each year consecutively.
Wow.
Playing in like 3 different bands. And I think it was just getting burnt out with it, to be
You were
honest.
playing in 3 different at one time, touring with all 3 of them?
Yeah, and kind of just like working my schedule around whoever was out on the road, whoever had dates, doing a little, international stuff.
Yep.
And I just got burnt out.
What'd you play? Were you drummer?
Drummer.
Yeah, let's go.
And the drummer can go and play, and everybody needs a drummer. I feel like, and that was like a lot of the calls was like, "Hey, this guy can't do these gigs.
Yep.
Can you come fill in and learn like 10 songs in a week?
Yep.
And we'll fly you out." And
Not a problem.
yeah.
What were some of the craziest punk rocker names? Did you have like a stage name? Or did the band have like
What were the band names?
Skinned Snakes?
No crazy names.
Okay,
like that. Band names. Vanna was the last band that I was in, that I was a member of, that I was touring with. I played for a band, Hit the Lights. I played for this band Lydia for a little bit. I played in a great band called Astronoid for a couple years, and then before that, the band that I was in was called Vatnit.
Gotcha.
And that was the other project that I was like a full on member of.
Yep.
And that kind of went to me, like I said, just getting a lot of like hired gun calls, and I'd fly out and do, a 6-week tour. But anyway, did that for years and realized I wanted to kind of take a step back from touring. And decided that I wanted to do a merch company because I'd always been interested on the merch side of it.
What were you doing? Were you making merch on like the Cricut? Like what was you're in a band, you're now making the merch at home, I'm assuming, right? In the garage?
Before, yeah. So I had a screen printing shop with a friend of mine.
Okay, yeah.
And we started in his garage, then we were at his sister's garage, then we were at my parents' garage. And it was like an assembly of garages that we were in for for 3 years. And then fast forward to deciding I wanted to go and do it on my own. Decided I wanted to do Downright Merch. Then we moved to a bedroom.
How'd you come up with the name Downright Merch?
My business partner, who was the manager of my band, we were just talking on the phone, and I had told him my idea for doing this, and we had already agreed to go into business together, and we said, well, now we need a name. He said Downright Merch. I think I said it.
That's what they all
I'm going to
say.
tag you as the more creative
Does it really
genius
matter?
here.
I don't know, but we landed on Downright Merch. We said, cool, that sounds good. Let's lock it in.
I like that. So you're in that grinding, which I respect the hustle 1,000%, by the way.
Thank you.
And you're going like that in the garages, in the bedrooms, whatever, putting this stuff out. What was the first like sale that you got where you thought to yourself, like, I could turn this into like an extremely lucrative business?
I think it was the
Great question, by the way. That was
Come on, lucrative?
I know. You use that's wow. Spell it.
I know. Yeah, to the question. Can't spell it.
I think it might have been the first order that we did for my band at the time, Vanna, because that was probably the biggest band that I'd played in, and we ended up doing the merch. You know, they let the drummer print the merch.
Yep.
There you go.
Wow.
You know, that was probably the first like legit client that we got in the door was my own band.
Right.
You know, and then I from there kind of got a feel of how honestly how the business even works. You know, just how. Before we were doing screen printing for a lot of local businesses for, you know, mom and pop shops.
Right.
But to translate our services to a touring band is kind of a different animal. You know, there's just a lot of different factors that go into keeping a band stocked on the road for a 6-week tour.
Exactly.
So we did the first orders for Vanna. And then, you know, I kind of realized like, yeah, maybe this could be a thing, you know? And I kept touring while I was doing Downright merch for the first 2 years of doing it. I was still on the road playing in bands. And then, yeah, it just kind of slowly kind of got to the point where I decided, you know, hey, this could be a career, you know?
So what was your, outside of the band, when you started getting more into the merch and outside of that, what was your marketing strategy going into that? Because I would imagine when you're with the band, you know what I mean, you're going out on tour, you're out there doing it, you're seeing faces, exchanging and all that. What was the marketing plan when it was more so just the merch and not as much the band? Like, how did you attack that?
Like for getting clients?
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of it was just like organic.
Right.
You know, a lot of it was people that I had
Word
known.
of mouth.
Yeah,
stuff
word
like
of mouth,
that.
exactly. People that I had known from years of touring, from, you know, kicking around, playing in
Crazy
bands.
networking, stuff like that.
Yeah, just, you know, you make a bunch of really great relationships being in a band and touring and being on the road with, you know, with people for months at a time sometimes. And, you know, some of my closest friends come from, you know, those experiences of traveling and being on the road. So it really was like an organic thing where it's like, you know, hey, I'm not like, you know, I'm not playing in bands anymore, but, you know, I still keep in touch with all these people that I have these great experiences with. And a lot of the first like real clients that we got were from those relationships. So it was really organic, and it was, it kind of fell into place. You know, and we never really had that much of a marketing strategy. I feel like it was
that's how you know it's supposed to happen when it just
it all when you were selling the merch? Is it all just at those venues on tour? Because you weren't online yet, right?
Yeah. So the way that our business works is we'll sell to the band, and then the band will be responsible for selling it on the road.
Right.
So
Gotcha.
there's some scenarios with some of our artists where we'll go and we'll vend for them, and and we'll sell the merch for them. But the majority of the time, you sell to the artist, and then the artist is responsible for making sure that they're that they're selling on the road.
Right. And then you would actually then go and hire most of your bandmates, right? Like Chris, your designer, was he
your account manager, Chris?
Yep.
Shout out Chris Alfieri.
Yep. Great
Best
guy.
in the business.
Legend of a human. Came up with the Bad Beautiful Bitch crew neck you're seeing right there.
Hello.
Came up with the Dangerously Caffeinated crew neck. You know? When did you know? I'm finding this with the coffee, like in business, you get to a point where like sales are good. How do you know when it's appropriate to scale? Like where you're like, I'm being pulled in 1,000 different directions. Now you're at like early days, it's you and your partner. And then who's the next employee after that? And how did you know, okay, now we're going to build it up to you have what, 30 employees?
We're just over 50 now.
Damn. When did you know it was like, okay, it's time to get people on the payroll?
I think probably around 2018. And I think it just came from like the sheer fact of I was doing everything by myself.
Yep.
You know, and it just, I realized that it wasn't scalable.
Yeah.
I was going to like lose my mind,
Yep.
you know? So it was just like, well, I need to get somebody to help. And that's like, when I think about the inflection points of the business, that was like the first big one was the commitment to saying, oh, I'm going to hire someone, and now I'm responsible for paying them every 2 weeks. And
that has to be one of the most scariest. Now people's livelihoods are kind of on your shoulder. Year one at that building, like what were you roughly doing in that first,
like for
2018?
For shipments, I think we were doing like maybe 200 shipments a day.
Yep.
We probably had about 100 clients at that point.
Yep.
So that was kind of at the point, I think March of 2020 was when things started kind of coming together.
Yep. Right.
Which they're still coming together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's like, it's the same feeling I have now as them. But I guess when you like zoom out a little bit and look at it, that's definitely a point where we started to get a little bit of traction.
Yep.
And we kind of started to get our groove a little bit. So
I'm so fascinated by guys like you and how they tick. So let's pivot to what what motivates you? Like, what you get up every morning, you have 50 employees now, 3 stories. Yeah. It's a mill building, roughly the length of what, a football field?
Yeah, it's
huge. I walk in on a Friday, they're having a full-on pizza party. Yep. Wow. Next level stuff.
Friday.
The employees are happy too. Like everyone's chipping around. Like it's such a good vibe in there. I walk on the production floor. There's music bumping. It's like their shipping and logistics center is like the scene in Elf when Elf gets drunk and everyone down there's like, hey, in the mailroom. That's their shipping and logistics. I'm walking. I'm like, are you hiring? I could come and work for you here.
Shirt off, dancing on the
yeah, exactly.
It's so funny to hear that because I feel like when we're in it every day, we don't realize that.
Yeah,
it
you
might
almost
be like like maybe not overwhelming, but it's like, oh, this is a whole thing. But when you're in it every day, like you don't, you're just like, oh, I'm in my office.
You know what I mean? What motivates you now?
I really love what I do.
Yep.
And I know like everybody says, but I really do enjoy getting up and going to the office and like building.
Yep.
Like I think that's the most rewarding part of it is feeling like we're putting something together and we're figuring out this like ever evolving thing that we're all trying to build together.
Right.
It's very motivating. I think that it's it definitely it gets me out of bed in the morning.
Yeah. Right.
Because there's definitely there's problems that we got to solve every day.
Yeah.
But the idea that we're all building something together and we're like creating this like live, ever evolving thing is super exciting.
Yeah. Was there ever a moment in time where you were like, shit, this might not work out? Like I might have to.
Oh, all the time.
Really? Do you still feel that this way to this day?
I think that's just a normal that's just not self-doubt, but like that's a normal feeling to have.
Yeah.
Making a business is like you got to be realistic, and it's like we've been able to accomplish a lot, but I think I definitely have moments of self-doubt where it's like, well, either we'll be stuck at where we are now or we won't be able to figure out this problem or that problem, but I think that's a natural thing.
Yeah.
As long as you can kind of figure out a way to work past it, or at least realize that that's just the feeling that you have in the moment. I think I chalk that up for what it is.
But it's got to be nice. You wake up, you're your own boss. Mm-hmm. You got this fantasy factory warehouse. You got awesome employees, great work environment, strong work ethic. That in itself,
pizza parties,
like come on. Like casual
rap.
Fridays, right? Dude.
Casual days every day
is just that motivating factor because we talk about it all the time. Is like the worst is when you wake up, you have that dead end job, and you wake up, and the first thought in your head is just, fuck. How do I not go in today? And you have that awkward 5 minutes of contemplating it, then you get up and you go in, whatever. But that's the worst is having that first thought just be so negative because you know your day is going to suck. But then having something you love and being able to find that at such a young age too, and then completely take advantage of it.
Yeah, crazy.
To you, dude.
How old are you right now?
29.
Get out of here.
Hello.
Holy hell. That's crazy.
What do I look old?
No, you look young.
29. Jesus.
Wow.
I look like I'm like 40.
Stop it. You look great. All right. Jeez. Don't let them fool you. What are some of the coolest accounts you have to date?
If you can talk about them.
No, I think the coolest one is, Death Row is definitely a fun one that we've worked on for a couple years at this point.
Yep.
That's really exciting. I never thought we'd be doing that.
Yeah.
How did you land that?
The people that owned Death Row up until last March was a company that we had that we have a deal with where we do their fulfillment for their label. And they owned Death Row and owned the brand. So they brought it to us and had the idea to do a full relaunch for Death Row. So yeah, again, it was a pretty like organic thing where like we just had friends that we had done business with over the years, and they had they wanted to kind of relaunch an iconic brand.
Yep.
And they trusted us to do it. So
and that's awesome.
Yeah, that's how do you, is that something where you're actively pitching you and company to prove to them, hey, we have the skills and fulfillment levels to do that? Or is that like I'm assuming a soul relationship game of so-and-so's agent to get in front of their eyes in the first place?
I think it's probably a combination of both.
Yep.
I think that ultimately having the relationship is very important, but you got to be able to deliver.
Right. Like we have like that. This purchase order is huge. You have to be able to do that.
And they would figure out, quickly if we were full of shit.
You couldn't fulfill. Yeah. Yep. Something that's cool with merch, and that I know we golfed a couple weeks ago, which I made a damn fool of myself. Let me tell you, that was not this guy over here.
Not the best golfer.
Every shot Seamus takes, beautiful. Me,
more of a football guy.
Boy, is it ugly. Yeah. But we were talking, and something you said out there in the chorus, which stuck with me, is we talk about this all the time. Like 50 Cent made more money with vitamin water than he did rapping, you know? And the fact that, say, like, whether it's fighters or, Meg the Stallion or can actually make more money in the merchandise game, than it is on their own career. Is that something that, do you find most, whether it's entrepreneurs, athletes, talent, people in the music industry, do they know that? Or now working with you, they're like, oh shit. When they start to see those royalty checks come in, is that when they're like, oh, wait a minute, I can actually
we can work together.
Move merch here or not,
Yeah, I think that it's becoming a more understood thing within the industry that merch is a huge opportunity and a great way to grow your brand.
Yep.
And I think the good part about it is they own it at the end of the day.
Right,
especially the way that we set up a lot of the deals is like the artist quite literally owns the product that they're selling.
Right.
And a lot of them, like yourself, have a lot of involvement in growing that brand. So yeah, I think it's becoming more and more understood and like common knowledge within just like, I feel like the entertainment industry and sports too, because we talked about fighting. There's like a lot of people that have, these killer merch stores that are involved in that realm of things. It's becoming more of an understanding that it's a huge opportunity to have, to have merch. And then they, a lot of them, it's almost like you got to give like a proof of concept.
Yep.
Like they get the first royalty check and they're like, oh yeah, like this is
Doable.
doable.
They start to see the
because it's kind of hard to contextualize at first, especially when it's just you have a bunch of calls and you present a bunch of ideas. But once we see the whole process through and actually make the product, we see the people on social media getting excited about it.
Yep.
It's like that aha moment where
it clicks.
I don't know if that was the case for
no 100%. That's why I'm always wondering for other people that are in it. Like I knew for me, an avenue, I'm always trying to monetize the social media game, which like outside looking in, everyone's always like, oh, creator funds got to be the only way to monetize. But, once you start to come up with some sort of product, maybe it is merch, maybe it's some sort of physical, in this case, coffee, some ingestible good. Maybe you team up with some guys like House 17 over here, Charles and Colin. You do some deals with Snapchat. I mean, we don't know. There's multiple avenues, but merch is just such a no-brainer. It's just so easy to push. I don't know how much you can actually go in with this, but I know you told a cool story golfing when Meg the Stallion won was it the VMAs Awards?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you could just see on your side the site just
sale.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was for the Super Bowl. So that was
okay.
That was so we did the Brandy store.
Yep.
And then we did Death Row.
Yep.
And it was last year was Snoop Dogg was the halftime performance. And Brandy was the halftime performance too. So yeah, it was cool to see it, and I actually was watching it with some friends, and I just like opened up the store and saw the Shopify and saw like
how crazy it was.
Yeah, I saw like
your laptop just explodes.
I saw the visitors on the Shopify because there's probably a lot of people that like don't, you think Snoop Dogg and Brandy, they're huge names, but they're not bigger than the Super Bowl. There's a lot of people that are watching and seeing that for the first time. And going to their website, which is also where their merch store is hosted, which we have access to. So I just went on and pretty crazy.
Was next day
live?
Yeah, was next day just like, oh shit.
It was it was a lot. They definitely got a lot of orders, but it's just funny because it's like two different accounts that just like so happen to be performing on the Super Bowl.
On the biggest stage in the
holy
world.
Hell. Those are probably your two biggest accounts right there, right?
I think probably like biggest names or like well known names, but they're like some silent hitters,
some silent killers in the back.
Would you ever go the political route? Because Trump can move some merch, you know?
Yeah, you probably can.
You could probably buy the actual Fantasy Factory with some of that,
Right. No, we've never done any web stores for like candidates or anything.
Yeah.
We've done we've printed for like a local, I think it was like the sheriff.
There you go.
Running for sheriff.
There we go.
There you go.
100 t-shirts for him.
Yep. Wow. I like that. That's actually great. What's your hardest day to day where you're like, ooh, this is an area where we kind of suck at, where we have to really reel it in? What's some of the hardest parts about running a merch store at your level?
I think just the company. I think tying departments together and getting like open lines of communication has been like not the hardest part, but it's one of the things that I'm most conscious of, is making sure that we're communicating with each other clearly, and we're not working in like little islands where like nobody knows what else is going on, because it's easy to do that. And then so I think that's probably been, I wouldn't say pain point, but it's definitely something that I'm like really focused on, like on my day to day.
Yeah, yep.
Is like working with my team to free up the lines of communication.
Right.
Yep. So.
And you hired 2 new sales reps.
Yeah.
Is that right? How are they just kicking ass and taking names?
They're crushing it. Yeah.
How do they go attack? How do they find new talent? Is it in DMs? Is that where you're mainly sourcing new talent, or?
So it varies, because we kind of have 2 businesses that we're running, which is like the artist services business for clients like you, where we're doing like a full e-commerce, like almost brand management type service. Right. And then we have just we bought a screen printing company in May, and we've taken on a bunch of just like production clients where we're doing like 100 t-shirts for this person, 500 t-shirts for that person. So the salesperson that we just hired, we're trying to build a sales team to really focus on those clients,
right?
Because they're a little more attainable, just through cold call. I don't say cold call; it's like an antiquated term. But they're a little more reachable, So you can easily get the word out and offer like a very clear-cut service for what we do, which is like print t-shirts and offer promotional product. For clients like yourself, where it's like a more like all-encompassing full service deal, we call it. Right. It's like a lot of that is relationship driven. A lot of that is either
networking.
Like friends in the music industry, or
right.
And a lot of that either comes from that, or it's just like Instagram, like DMs,
right.
It's just like surprisingly effective. You know?
Oh, I bet. Absolutely.
If you send enough of those, one of them is gonna.
I tell Colin's a single man. I tell him all the time.
The numbers game.
The odds now of finding love at like a bar or a nightclub, rather slim. You're better top of funnel.
Right.
Thanks for the kick in the ass there.
Trying
for
to
the
just
bit of motivation.
If you're
Colin's
looking for love, corporate
turns out
Colin,
you're not gonna find it.
If you need some warmth outside of your bad beautiful bitch crew neck, Colin could
I think
wrap
if
his
I
hands
wore
around
this
you.
in Southie, I'd be able to find love.
Right.
So
or slip into the DMs.
Hello.
That's he's generating new business.
Exactly. They'll be like, oh my god, Kevin? Be like, oh my god.
I mean, jeez, that's just in your warehouse. If you go there, every time I go there, they're taking over a new plot of territory in that warehouse.
New plot of land.
Yes. Is there going to be, do you see
expansions.
yourself in the next probably couple of years superseding that space you have now? Which is how big, by the way? How many floors, square footage?
It looked huge.
It's freaking.
From the videos you showed me.
You've seen Willy Wonka.
Yeah. It looked huge.
I think
roughly that size.
Right now, it's like, I think we're like 40,000 square feet, all the spaces tied together. But we have the main floor, and then the back warehouse, and then the screen printing shop, then office space on the front, and a little more storage in the back. So it's like kind of all like parsed out throughout the building.
Right.
It would be nice someday if we could get into like one like cohesive space where we can kind of set things up like from the ground up. But we kind of just made do with any time space would pop up in the building we were in. We'd like try to jump on it. Yeah.
Yep.
So definitely not the most like cost efficient way to do it.
Yeah.
But just out of sheer necessity, it's the only
It's
thing we
right
could
there.
do.
We're working.
Right.
Let's get it done.
Right.
Yeah.
Or now that you're like 50 employees, 40,000 square feet, what's a normal day look like for you now, operations wise? Like, you seem pretty hands on. You're always, anytime I swing over there, Seamus is there. He used to have a drum set in his office. You could hear Seamus. You'd be like, oh, he's jamming out.
Oh yeah.
What's your day to day like operations wise?
Meetings with the team, definitely a lot more of that now. Definitely still very hands on with almost everything in the business.
Yep.
You know, I think that we've built great teams with great leadership. So it's nice to be able to trust them and free up time to do the stuff that I enjoy in the business.
Right. Is hiring like one of the biggest pitfalls? Like, are you like there's a saying like hire slow, fire fast.
Yeah,
is that kind of your operations?
Hire fast, fire fast.
Yeah. Smart.
There you go.
That's a good one.
Hired. Get out of here.
Yeah, that's like the one of the only things that I really don't get too involved in.
Yeah,
that's usually
right.
that's which is fine. I really don't like doing interviews. They're fucking weird.
Yeah.
Like,
He's like,
Well, see you later.
they're weird.
big
like,
gulp, huh?
Just move the microphone away. Not a problem. Interviews are stupid. Jesus.
Well, this isn't an interview. It's
Right. There you go.
Totally
There
different,
you go.
right? Where in the next, do you have any like long-term goals for the company? What's like next year front facing look like for you?
Well, one of the goals is to get into a new space.
Oh, let's go.
Hopefully next year.
Are you looking around the same area?
Yeah. We probably stay in the same area, like Methuen, Haverhill area. Get into a new space. That's a big one. Keep growing the team. Like I want to hire more people.
Yep.
I want to keep growing our teams and hiring great people.
Yeah.
And I said the screen printing shop that we got is really like dialing that in and getting back involved in the production side of it, which is like its own beast.
Yeah.
Like actually manufacturing, printing the t-shirts.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All the machinery and we weren't involved in that side of it for quite some time, and then now we have production in house. So it's like, it's a whole thing that we're that we're building too. So.
Yeah. It's crazy with them. Talent could literally walk through their doors. It's like a car wash for merch.
Right.
You could sit down on the first floor, sit with a designer. Be like, I want this, that, and the other thing.
That would be a good video.
Watch it
Right?
right on the coat rack.
You
just
could
get
then go
made.
upstairs, to see the actual like inner workings of how that whatever garment or hat or whatever is made, and then boom, right to your production line. It's pretty.
Well, that's kind of what we did with your video, right?
Yep, 100%.
You picked the merch.
Yep.
And then you boxed it.
Yep.
And you shipped it out, and it was all one thing.
And they have like a full-on shipping logistics center all in-house as well. That could really be like a potential biz dev there. Like your clientele could come in-house and leave with a whole new wardrobe of their new favorite stuff,
Oh, yeah.
to then sell to the masses.
And with this too, dude, no limit. We gotta get some merch in there, dude. And
Absolutely.
As far as the podcast is concerned,
now we're
just
talking.
start that one too.
Yeah.
That would be a cool thing to show, like from the design part of it, getting the idea, then sketching it out.
Yes.
And how it actually gets printed.
Yeah, 100%. Ooh, I like that. We'll have to work on that.
Assembly line of a video. That would be sick.
That I like. What's when you look front facing now, is there any like do you ever see yourself? I think about this with coffee all the time. Like the momentum's there, right? And for you, like clearly volume wise, everything's there. You see the revenue coming in, and I know you said you have your daily doubts of like, is this going to go the distance? What are some roadblocks you can share with people within running an organization like yourself to kind of be aware of, hey, as you're climbing, because every day I wake up and I'm like, ooh, numbers are looking good in this platform and we're growing here and I'm on 1,000 Zooms and calls with Charles with 1,000 different cool projects and I'm like, ooh, we're on the up and up and up. Mm-hmm. But I have the same like, oof, which I think is just human nature. We all have that like, kind of like, oof. I'm a big Disney Plus guy.
There you go.
Watched Hercules last night. Big like, can you go the distance? I can go
Watched
the
Hercules
distance.
last night. Changed my life.
Yeah, exactly. Have you seen it?
Changed my life. I actually haven't, but I will. Is this like a new Hercules? Or are we talking OG Hercules?
The only Hercules.
I would imagine it's 2022. They're coming out with new stuff.
The cartoon.
Yes.
I was going to say.
Yes.
But he
It's been a
sings a
while.
song.
I'll tell you, I didn't see
I can
it
go the distance
last week, but
so I sing that every morning now.
That's good.
But what are
get you like ready?
Oh man,
to go
yeah,
the distance?
yeah, exactly. Like, do you ever think, oh shit, like if this fails? I'm passionate about like you have like the burn the boats side where like it actually can't fail because it's our only option. Do you have some sort of reserve parachute if shit goes sideways, or you're all in?
I think I'm all in.
You gotta be.
Yeah.
You gotta be.
Yeah, I think I'm all in, and I kind of fall back on the idea that the thing that even if your business fails, the thing that they can't take is like your knowledge about doing it. You know? So that's kind of like the final reserve is like, well, you have all these experiences. If you've run a business for 5 years or you're doing what you're doing, you probably have a wealth of experience and knowledge. So yeah, I mean, what was the question again?
Can you go the distance? Essentially.
Well, I think it's also like defining what the distance is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Ooh, look
Because
at you.
it's like,
That's some genius level thinking.
well,
right
it's the
there.
truth. Like if you just say you get up every day and it's like you don't have context to what you're trying to achieve, then then it's easy to feel like discombobulated in your day to day. But like if you have like at least a rough parameter as far as what you want to achieve, I feel like that's
set goals.
Yeah,
set
in short,
goals.
set goals.
Write 'em
Even if
down.
they're like long term, or they're like, I just want to get out of bed and like run for like a mile, which is like something I'm trying to do every day now. It's like,
Here we go.
God bless you,
dude, it
because
sucks.
I have the dangerously caffeinated cut-off sleeves you can wear on your runs that you just want to grab that in your shop.
Yeah.
Feel free to throw that on, you know?
free of charge.
On the house, Seamus. All
I
right?
want to get some for everybody. Some dangerously caffeinated.
Done.
Be great.
Done. Just put it on my account, you know? Just where, let's plug you up. Where can everybody find you on social media? How can they get in contact? If an artist or someone's listening to this and says, ooh, that's what I'm missing. I met a kid the other day. He's got 960,000 followers on TikTok.
Hello.
He almost has 1 million on Instagram. I'll find his handle.
Who is this kid?
Rob, he's from Vermont. Robert something. We met
What
for
does he
coffee.
do?
He does like skits and like voiceovers and stuff like that.
TikTok
I
kid?
told him about you, TikTok kid. I told him about you. No merch whatsoever. How can someone find you to then, do their own merch line?
Downratemerch.com, or they can just hit me up on Instagram at
At that link.
Minahan.
Love it. Hell yeah. Well, we can't thank you enough so much. Thank you so
hell
much
yeah.
for stopping by. And
Seriously, man.
that's it. This is the No Limits this is a No Limits podcast.
whoa,
Don't you
whoa,
pull
whoa,
me
whoa.
over. I was so good. Colin and I in high school used to make fun of each other if we
on.
stuttered at all. If you missed a vowel or like you said a word kind of funky, we'd pull out like the fake, be like hands.
You
Hands
guys,
are
you
I can
guys know
see.
each other from
Met in
Oh
fourth
my
grade.
gosh. Fourth grade.
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's been just uphill ever since.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
And it's been a push uphill.
It hasn't been easy, let me tell you.